Welcome to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast.
Every week, they talk about the Vancouver Canucks with a fair amount of nonsense thrown in.
Sure, they're never the first with the news, nor the best connected, and definitely more off the rails than on.
But they've been talking puck the longest, and that counts for something, right?
So strap in for the longest running, best mediocre Canucks Hockey Podcast.
It's C4 with Chris and Anna.
Hi, Anna. Hi, Craig.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Craig.
It's been a couple of weeks. How you doing?
I'm fine. I presume Craig is also fine.
You know, he's a Discord bot of few words.
Yeah, Craig should be seen and not heard. Or
Yeah, and I said
should
he,
listen
maybe
and...
I should say they.
Yeah, I guess we don't really know.
Yeah, Craig listens, but Craig does speak. Like,
yes,
again,
true.
I'm pulling the curtain back. When the Craig bot joins our server to record our voices, Craig says, "Now recording." You hear this. And that's as much as we hear from Craig.
Yeah, that's all we've gotten from Craig. But that's kind of all we need.
Yeah. So yeah, a couple weeks, no Vancouver Canucks action, no Vancouver Goldeneyes action, but that's because we all know the Winter Olympics have come and gone. It's kind of, I was going to say kind of weird that in 2 weeks the entire, Olympics is started and finished, but I mean, it's only a 2-week experience-ish, and then the Paralympics kick in a few weeks after. There was hockey.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else there was. I didn't watch anything else on purpose.
You didn't watch curling?
No, I heard about it. I had so many people reaching out to me, and I was like, curling is on in every single bar, like every single sports bar, 52 weeks of the year, and I'm not going to start paying attention now. I will use the memes, but I'm not going to start watching.
Yeah.
But yes, scandal abounds.
Yeah, curling. And, to some respect, a little bit of, residual, I don't want to say scandal, but kind of scandalous behavior in hockey. That residual not necessarily being directly correlated to the Olympics, but what came out of Four Nations and now into the Olympics and all that jazz. But that said, I can't believe you didn't watch curling. Curling, there's two sports that Canada has very high expectations in, and it is curling and hockey in the Winter Olympics. That's not to, not speak highly of all of our other Olympic athletes. Like, we have some very successful Olympic athletes currently in the Winter Games, or previously in the Winter Games, now it's over, in speed skating, was it slopestyle?
Ice dancing, right?
Ice dancing, yeah, they are extremely competitive. But as Canadians, I don't think we go in there and expect it's gold or bust. Whereas like hockey and curling, the expectation is gold or bust. Like, it's almost as if anything less than that is not acceptable. And there was a moment where a U.S. athlete was asked if silver was a failure, and her response was that I am the most successful, female athlete. Yeah. And it's, despite that doesn't mean there aren't just as many, successful competitive athletes. There are only 3 medals. Every one of them is a success. And when I heard her speak, like, she is right. I should have that same perspective. And then I watch the hockey games and I'm like, darn.
That's the thing. I mean, with the women's hockey, like, if you said silver at the start of a tournament, you'd be like, great, okay, I wasn't sure about that. We're getting silver, great. But at the end of the gold medal game, because of how close it ended up being, it did feel like a bit of a failure.
Yeah. And just to make it very clear to our listeners, Anna and I do not feel the silver medals won by the Canadian women's national or the Canadian men's national hockey teams were a failure. These two teams played their butts off and came close. Both games were lost in overtime. I think part that stings is it was to the United States. And that has more to do with the geopolitical conditions that we currently live in, pouring into it. So for, again, anyone who says politics should stay out of sport, sport is about politics.
Yeah,
Always has
you don't
been,
get to choose
always will
that.
be.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening out there is only amplifying it.
Totally.
So we'll talk a little bit about things as it relates to the Olympic experience, and then there are a few things about the Vancouver Canucks to chitter chatter about. You'd think that 2 weeks off for a professional hockey team here in Vancouver would mean there would be very little news, but the team, unfortunately for a couple players, found a way to make
create
news.
some news. Yeah.
And hockey gets back underway, both for the Canucks and Goldeneyes this week. So we'll sort of set up the games as they come at us. But to get there, we first need to get into Rewind. Now, I'm going to fast forward here. Going into that women's hockey gold medal game, having seen the United States have their way with Team Canada in the preliminary round.
Yeah.
Did you expect Canada to put on the clinic as it did for, what was it, 56 minutes?
Yeah, the defensive clinic, as it were. No, I'll be honest, I didn't. I kind of had it on and just thought, okay. I mean, lots of people were saying, I just want it to be close. I don't want it to be an embarrassment like that previous game was. I kind of expected. I didn't expect the same thing to happen, but I definitely expected a comfortable, at least, win for the US. So I was pleasantly surprised by what I saw.
Yeah. It was discussed a little bit, and a friend of the show, Daniel Wagner, he had talked about it and drew some sort of parallels to Team Canada's composition to that of the Vancouver Goldeneyes. Two teams built on a ton of experience, but in doing so, maybe, I don't want to say devoid, that's not the best term, but it's the only one I can think of youth.
Yeah, I mean, they had no college players, right?
Yeah. And, the United States, as their roster, there was a really good balance, but the engine that was driving that team's performance were the young players who seemed to have unlimited tanks of gas, skating full-on turbo mode, and were making magic happen. Now, I think, as we sort of see the tournament play out, the experience of Team Canada got them to where they were that close to winning a gold medal in the final. But, the way 3-on-3 hockey is designed, 3-on-3 hockey is about the ability to take advantage of mistakes and using speed and finesse to get that circus-style goal. And, in both the women's and men's game, we sort of saw the team was built for war, not necessarily built for overtime.
Yeah, and obviously we've seen another version of 3-on-3 overtime that the Canucks have done this year, which I joked about, I think, on social media. But that's a 5-minute overtime, right? They only have to survive 5 minutes.
Yeah, but the Vancouver Canucks version of 3-on-3 overtime is survive 5 minutes. If 3-on-3 overtime in the NHL was a 20-minute period, do you think the Vancouver Canucks would be playing it the way they do?
No, I don't think they would, because what they're trying to do is just get to that, not even coin flip, because if Kevin Lankinen is in net, Canucks have better odds than their opponent, you have to say, if they're in a shootout. But it doesn't really go to the best defense is a good offense mantra, which is what Olympic hockey is, and that's what overtime is. That's what the US built their roster on. I will say, when we talk about experience that did get Team Canada to that gold medal game, we're talking about Poulin and Desbiens really
Oh,
as the like primary people doing that, because I mean, not only were they like the strongest players, but a lot of the players weren't given a chance.
mhm.
Like Jen Gardner's running on like minutes by time, not even some of the games. So
It's interesting. Like you and I were talking about, does Maschmeyer potentially unseat Desbiens? Mash got a couple of games.
right,
Desbiens was the clear number one. Like that decision was made, and Desbiens, to her credit, played some outstanding hockey.
right,
Um, to the Marie-Philippe Poulin, the absolute goat. I mean, it was clear in that last game she was playing
yeah,
through
right,
a definitive injury. And it's interesting to draw parallels because looking at the Canadian men's, you had Sidney Crosby who elected not to play through
right.
definitive injury, and I'm not taking anything away from Poulin because she was
Yeah, which they
balls
wouldn't
to
have
the
made it through
wall.
that semifinal, like
Yeah.
without like yeah. So, but I also understand. Like, I really applaud Sidney Crosby for making that decision that
Mm,
he was better off the ice than on.
yeah.
I mean, it's like the opposite of the toxic masculinity we talk about. But I can also understand why Poulin made her decision, and
Well,
yeah,
you look at this, I mean, they're two players who arguably were in their last Olympics.
Mhm.
I can't see Sid coming back in 4 years.
No,
I think it's possible Poulin does because where sort of the women's game exists today, but we're not going to be where we are today in 4 years with the women's game. It's going to advance. And I feel that, Team Canada needs to take lessons from what the US has done with their hockey program and look to create a funnel of young and
hmm
upcoming talent to then push the more
yes, yes,
experienced, established player base. That's not to suggest that they get a free pass, but I feel that Canada has been so reliant on experience
yeah,
that we've come to this sort of critical point where we need to pivot, or it's possible the United States then just continues to run away. I do need to point out, I feel it's somewhat of a shame that the women's game still sees sort of Canada, US at the top, and that there is still a distinct gap
right.
to
But I would say
Switzerland and Sweden.
much less of a gap
There, yeah, it's
since the
much less,
last
but
Olympics, because of the PWHL and European
mhm.
players kind of playing to that same standard. Um, yeah, it's funny we're talking about this because literally it's like, why don't we not talking about betting on youth and maybe
Mhm.
to the detriment of current results or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, there was a viral tweet or whatever we're supposed to call it, go around of, if you have a son, it is your patriotic duty in Canada to make him a goalie. And
Yeah.
I think the opposite should be true. If you have a daughter, make her be anything but a goalie, because that's the only position where
Oh,
we have depth
off
in.
the rails here. What happened to the goalie factory in Quebec?
I don't know what they're doing there. Like Sam Montembeau was the last one out. I don't know.
Well, so this is a question I had asked sort of a group of guys that we were sort of going back and forth with on the game, and one of them was like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, Quebec used to be where the number one Canadian goaltenders came out of, and if they wasn't a number one, they were the number two that probably had a good chance at being a number one if the number one happened not to be available."
Yeah.
That seems to have sort of slowed down. Like we used to have a plethora of goaltenders out of Quebec, and I'm not entirely sure if it's due to the transition to the QMHJHL or what have you. I don't know. It's different. But that sort of segues into the men's game. You and I think, are well established. I don't want to say it, Bennington haters.
Yeah.
Like
And I
I think
stand by that hatred. I am sick of people talking about him being clutch when he's the one that gets Canada into these messes in the first place. It's like we focus on the one amazing highlight reel save that he pulls off, forgetting how much trouble he gets Canada into.
Well, so I had commented between the second and third period, and again, this is after Makar had tied it up, that it would be real nice if Canada could give Binnington a 2 or 3 goal cushion to work with. Like, you watch Binnington's style of goaltending, he is aggro. Like, it is, as you know, one of my friends had commented, why is it that when like Hellbuck makes a save, it seems like it's a rudimentary save, and when Binnington makes that same save, it is as if Binnington has made the best save in the world. Like, the different goaltending styles obviously are at play there, but I'm not going to deny that Binnington, made great saves. Like, he did what he needed to do to keep Canada in that game, despite losing in overtime. But, they were talking about it during the broadcast. The United States needs to go lateral. They need to go side to side with the puck, because that's where Binnington's weak. He's out so far, it's hard to get across. And what's 3-on-3 hockey but side to side?
Yeah,
right? There's so much open space. So, I'm thinking this was Binnington's last go round. I'm not sure if was it Thompson or
I mean,
Aiden Hill or whomever. Like
Thompson is a better goalie. That's just...
I know, but like, is he going to be the next? Like, this is sort of the question. Is I don't like we talked about it. This Team Canada men's team was built on the Four Nations.
Yeah,
like Tom Wilson being in this team's roster was from the Four Nation experience. We saw the Wilson experience where, thankfully, the light bulb turned on against France, and he didn't get himself, in a lengthy break. But even in the gold medal game, Connor McDavid had to go and talk with him to tell him, like, don't get yourself into trouble. Like, the fact that he needs to have that conversation is a good sign.
Like, we've seen some poor officiating, don't get me wrong, in these Olympics. Like, goalies can't count, just like the Canucks, apparently. But
okay, just on the poor officiating front, I am so confused, because isn't the international game supposed to be the place where the referees call it all? Like, it's almost like it's, dare I say it,
but
worse than the NHL at game management.
Well, but that's, to me, I think in terms of physicality, they're calling way more. Which I think is fair. I think they should be doing that. You're playing tournament hockey. You should not be taking players out of games physically. And almost like, I mean, we've talked endlessly about the playoffs, and I understand, like, having some leeway with the more persnickety side of officiating in the playoffs, but the danger they put the players in is unreal, considering the pressure they're already under in that physical, like, relentless pace that they're playing. But yeah, so I think that's the idea. I don't think it's call everything. I think it's come down hard on interference, on, like, hitting. Although, apparently not in the women's game. If your name is Britta Curl, apparently you can do what you want. As you can in a PWHL, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll defer to what you saw within sort of the physicality being called. It felt to me that the officiating in the women's game was maybe a little bit tougher on the physicality than I felt it was in the men's games. Now, I only really watched Team Canada games, so I can't speak for much of anything else. The struggle, though, was the game management and the fact that referees would put their whistle away. And the only calls that were being made were high sticking, when it was quite clear that you couldn't avoid it. Though in fairness, the
I mean,
too many skaters against the US, like I don't know how of 4 officials in the ice they don't see Jack Hughes play that puck.
yeah,
Like it's one thing it hits the skate, you know what? And if they don't call it, okay. That's this kind of stuff that sometimes doesn't get called. But he puts his stick down and starts playing it. Now there's too many skaters.
yeah,
And that's already after the fact that was it, Czechia had 8 skaters on the
yeah.
ice
The
against Team
Czechia
Canada
one
earlier.
was super egregious.
And, I actually, on that note, someone had actually responded to me on social media saying, yes, you see 8, but there was a bunch going off the ice and they scored the goal. I'm like, okay, let's rewind the clock. When there are 6 Czechia skaters behind the blue line defending when the shot comes through and gets blocked.
Yeah.
So if you want to somehow excuse 8, which
Yeah.
I don't know how, but you're going to excuse 8. Now you're going to tell me 6 skaters is somehow excused when they're all on the wrong side of the blue line. There's no one going off. They're all defending. The fact that there were 6 skaters in the celebration, anyhow, whatever.
It is, yeah, don't get me wrong. I think there's been some poor officiating. I do want to ask what you thought about the review. I may be in the minority, but I thought that was
Thinking
real.
it's offside?
Just not the actual decision, but the process. One, I thought, like, if we're gonna have reviews, this is the way to do it, because the officials are deciding.
Mhm.
This isn't going to some war room in Toronto, like further disempowering these officials.
Well,
They just are getting an extra look.
So reviews in the NHL are back to the bench. All the war room does is contribute.
Yeah, but they
Right,
don't. But like, to me, that's already like, it is, significantly taking away the power. This seemed to be like.
Well, but because I just want to clarify, like you're talking about like in the NHL, an NHL review compared to what we saw in the international game.
Yeah,
Well,
I thought that was better.
But well, I mean, I don't know the distinct, difference. But as far as I am aware, referees and linesmen now have control again. It did go to the war room at one point. Now it's back to the officials on the ice. Now I believe in the NHL, the war room is contributing their 2 cents, but it's the referees who make the call.
But that's the thing. It's not who is making the decision, because you're.
It's the influence, the 2 cents.
And it's more like the fact that it disempowers the officials, because let's be honest, the officials making the decisions during the Olympics weren't the best, but it looks like they are in control of the game to me. That makes a difference.
I agree. I think if we're going to say that there is the possibility for undue influence out of Toronto in the NHL game.
Yeah, and I don't want to be a paranoid Canucks fan, but like, have you heard the VAR recordings from Premier League games? Like, all the good process BS? Like, yeah. I just think it's a mess when you involve more parties.
Yeah. So off the rails here, VAR. The issue I have with VAR, outside of the fact that some of these reviews, it's like clear and obvious, but it takes 20 minutes to see it.
Oh, totally.
I have no issue where a VAR official is asked by the referee, what is it you see that I missed? And they set that up. I see this at that time. At that point, the official is the one who should make the decisions.
Yeah.
All the VAR is doing is telling them what it is that they're calling about, and then allowing the referee or the official to make the call. I have, seen where the referee will then start saying, well, what do you think? And it's like a team decision. And I'm all for like an officiating team working together. And I know that in that sense, they're saying the VAR officials, of which there are typically 2 involved, they're all collaboratively talking about it. But if it's being called by someone who's sitting upstairs watching a TV screen and not the referee who's on the field of play with the whistle, I have an issue. So going back to your earlier point, if Toronto is able to contribute those 2 cents and the officials on the ice are saying, give us clarity, that I may have an issue with. If you don't know the rules,
Well,
that
that's a big
shouldn't be
issue.
no, but that's the thing, is like, if you need clarity, that shouldn't be coming to you in the middle of the game, because that's now impacting that point in time, and it's not dealing with everything else before. So you know what? I'm with you here.
Okay.
Take Toronto out of the picture.
Love that. I mean,
See,
honestly,
all you needed to do is bring VAR into it.
that's the thing. It's so hard. VAR, I was against VAR. I do think it's been bad, but if we have it, like, how do you tweak it? And, like, obviously cricket, it works best in cricket, but that's because there is a natural pause every 90 seconds of cricket, so it doesn't really disrupt the game.
I can't speak to cricket. I like VAR in rugby.
Yeah, the TMO thing. Yeah, it seems to work quite well. I'm
Rugby
sure
is an entirely different. I mean, I don't say it's a different sport, but, like, you know what I mean? Where, like, how officiating is approached in rugby,
it's very
is
different.
far different.
Obviously, it was a great rugby weekend for me. Yeah, rugby and football went very well this weekend. Hockey,
well, that's good.
less so.
That's good.
Yeah.
So United States wins gold, both for women's, both for men's. Sad Canadian Chris happens to be. I want to applaud, though, the gesture that the United States players did in having Johnny Gaudreau's jersey and his family and his kids there. Like, that to me is class. I'm a Canadian, and I can acknowledge how, moving that is. I do wish the gentleman celebrating with them in their dressing room wasn't there, because that tarnishes it all in my mind. But then I'm woke.
Yeah, I mean, you say tarnished. I mean, it already was. Like, the Kachuk brothers, like, the biggest Trump sycophants out there. There's several of the US players that are big Trump sycophants. So yeah, it's always going to be gross, even if we didn't know so much about the political inclinations of the US hockey team because of the political context again. But yeah, it did underline it very much when Cash Patel's in the locker room.
Yeah, I tried not to say his name.
I know. I'm saying it. I'm getting them all in. Like, if you're not aware, this is who your players are.
Yeah. And I think it's very clear, like, we're poking at the US here. There's similar problems with the Canadian men's national team.
NHL's one of the most conservative leagues, which is crazy to think about, given where, like...
It's nuts, though, how so many people who don't actively follow hockey and then in turn somehow don't connect politics to sport. And I understand there's just far too many people where that disconnect exists, who then start like, why is Canada upset with Gretzky? Well,
do you just see that
there's a variety of reasons.
He drunkenly signed something else? He signed his own picture at the Olympics, I think.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, because he got drunk, and for those that don't know, got drunk and signed to the Rogers Arena elevator when he was there. So.
Interesting. It should say something when Mark Messier and his image can be rehabilitated here in Vancouver based on the actions of Wayne Gretzky. And I'm not trying to rehabilitate Mark Messier and his image with me, but you know what I mean? Like, that's how far he has sunk.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
is even possible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's something I learned in physics. With every force, I can't remember what the term is, but there's balance with everything that's in motion.
What goes up must come down?
Yeah, something like that. Anyhow.
I think that's what Isaac Newton said.
Yeah, something like that. You and I are going to take a quick break while I dive into Wikipedia to learn more about physics. You're listening to the C4 Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Anna, Chris, and Craig.
take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on that.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? And that because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy.
Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 200-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
So you'd think, again, with 2 weeks off, the Vancouver Canucks could find a way to kick back, enjoy their time off, maybe, get a few practices in, maybe some fun in the sun, maybe get engaged, and be ready to go for, the resumption of NHL action this week, right?
One would think, but Canuck luck does not work that way.
Oh, no? Well, okay, first of all, was it Brock Besser got engaged?
He did. So congrats, Brock.
Yep, that's good. Sounds like a few players had themselves an opportunity to kick back and relax. Also good. But the whole have a couple of practices and get ready for NHL action, unfortunately, was the issue for one player, and then AHL action was the issue for another, if I understand the injuries correctly.
Yeah, I'm trying to get more details on the Lakamaki injury. If he has, he's going to undergo shoulder surgery, which is a hard phrase to say. Shoulder surgery.
Done for the season.
Done for the season. Whether it is something specific or just general, like wear and tear type injury,
Well,
unsure.
I mean, it's not unusual for, at least in this market, stuff to not really trickle out. Lekkerimäki was one of the, I was going to say many Vancouver Canucks players who were papered back into Abbotsford to continue to have something to do while the Olympics were on. And was it late last week, news comes out, shoulder surgery, out for the season. And in a world where a team once had a player by the name of Ilya Mikheyev who played 3/4, 2/3 of a season, only to then get shut down for whatever reason with a blown ligament, which actually I shouldn't say for whatever reason. Blown ligament, we're going to have surgery. He's done now. Why not have it done this earlier? Like, why force the player to play through this? What's not to suggest Lekkerimäki has been playing through some shoulder problems, and now they've just decided, let's shut him down. But if that was the case, why paper him? Why have him in Abbotsford?
Yeah. That's the thing. The fact that we're so unsure and we just are so not trusting. We don't trust that they're doing the right process by their players. That's the issue.
Him having surgery and being shut down now, I trust that's the best thing for him.
I agree.
But it's what we're saying is the getting to their point. We've got some doubts.
Yes. Other news.
Philip Hedl. So have not heard during a practice last week, Brock Besser fired a puck towards the net, hit the glass, ricocheted, hit Philip Hedl behind the net in the head. Philip Hedl crashes to the ice, gets up, skates off immediately. Facial fracture. No word if he's yet done for the season.
But indefinitely is the word used.
Yeah,
Which, you never know what that means. Usually it means a long time. But yeah, that's just brutal luck.
I get that broken bones heal. It's actually, when we've talked about things, sometimes the broken bone is the better injury in NHL because you have a definitive timeline to work within. Rather than like a soft tissue injury or the other injury that Philip Hedl has been dealing with concussion, like head trauma. There's no timeline, right? when he got hit with the puck, my instinct was, okay, probably something broken.
Mm-hmm.
But he's at this point where anything hitting his head is considered a contribution to head trauma.
Yeah,
This is
it's a
like,
bad. Yeah, it's
I'm,
just bad.
as a fan, I want him to be healthy, to have a long and productive life when his NHL career comes to a conclusion. I
Mhm.
do hope he is the one who can make that decision and not injuries.
Factors, yeah, yeah.
But
It's
at this
really
point in
tough.
time, I just, to me, I would shut him down. Like, what is bringing Philip Hedl back at this point going to do for the Vancouver Canucks? Even if he were to get healthy, I'd be like, hey, Philip, we're going to shut you down for the season. Take this time to get better. Like,
That's the
even
thing,
if
and
you're,
make an informed decision, right? Like,
yeah.
there's no point rushing this choice. I know,
Like, I don't like
because it
facial
really is a choice at
fractures.
this point. Yeah.
Like, broken bones is often 4 to 6 weeks. Let's say it's 6 weeks. That means he comes back with like 2 weeks left in the season. Why? They're not going to the postseason.
Wait,
Gosh,
what?
do I hope they're not going to the postseason. Couldn't you
Like
imagine if someone go on a
extraordinary
tear?
circumstances. Yeah, but they not only would they have to go on a tear, like teams above them would have to implode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh. So yeah, as far as injury news goes, Philip Hedl, horrible luck. Lekkerimaki done for the season. Lekkeramaki's injury should open up an opportunity for other players to showcase their skills. I'd rather it have not come at the sake of Lekkerimaki. As far as Hedl's injury, the Vancouver Canucks were banking on a healthy Hedl all season long.
Yes.
It's
Which
just at this point.
It was a strange bet to make even back then,
Yeah.
right?
But at this point, hey, shut them down. You find ways to showcase. With players though returning from the Olympics, I'll use Petey. There was some hope that Petey would go have the lights out Olympics, find his game. I was talking to a friend of mine lives in the complex who was saying this, and I'm like, Sweden's not going to be playing him in a role that would allow for him to do. Like, Petey was at best a third line center on Team Sweden,
which we know he can do, right? Like,
yeah,
we already know that. Like, we know that he is
played more like a fourth line
center.
player, right? The defensive, we send him out, we trust him, but we're not looking for the offense when he's out in the ice. And that's ultimately what he was. I mean, he had one really good game, but functionally did his defensive best. And, in against the U.S., had minimal ice time.
Yeah.
Kevin Lankinen's coming back with a medal.
I know, and he looks very happy about it. So, I'm good for him.
Kevin Lankinen didn't get a whole lot of opportunity, but did play, got a medal.
Yeah, and I would say I was quite impressed by Finland, to be honest. I thought they played pretty well, especially against Canada.
Yep.
Yeah.
Philip Hronek did real well. David Kampf actually did pretty darn good defensively. Won faceoffs all over the place.
Which honestly is more than you can say for a lot of players not named Bo Horvat. So.
Oh gosh,
we miss him so much.
Watching Bo in the Olympics.
I mean, just from every point of view, like how he conducted himself, how he played, everything. We just miss him.
Going back in time, the decision to sign Miller at the expense of Bo. Even then, I mean, I'd like to think that we said not entirely happy with this. And while we could go and sort of reason that you can't have both, and they went with the one who had the higher ceiling that we thought, Bo Horvat, we knew what we had. He bled Vancouver green and blue.
Yeah.
And look at where he is today. Like, he has elevated his game in New York. He's a critical piece of Team Canada. And gosh, you think we could get him back? Do you think he could come back like Trevor Linden did?
No. If you were asking me a couple of years ago, I'd say, yeah, that's a possibility.
Well, the
to get
Canucks
Bo
are going to
back.
get bad. Well, I shouldn't say
Yeah.
get bad. We are bad. Maybe
Yeah.
like when Trevor got brought back, I remember Brian Burke, when he brought Trevor Linden back, he had commented at that time, I was trying to undo a wrong in this market. But one of the hockey related reasons as to why he brought Linden back was he had a younger team who needed a stable, responsible, still got some game player to, and I reminisce about how like Stan Smeel was with the team in the mid to late 90s. Like what Stan set as a tone was what that team built from success. And if you look at what we got in 2011 and the West Coast Express era, that was a Trevor Linden influence that carried. That influence is non-existent right now in Vancouver. Like a player like Bo Horvat coming back, not being the Bo we remember, because he'll be older, let's be frank, and by the time the Canucks could find a way to bring him back, he's not going to be contributing in that level, but establishing the way to play the game. Like look at Macklin Celebrini. Oh my God, Macklin had an Olympics that was just unbelievable. What's like Tyler Toffoli is what?
Yeah. No, I know.
Macklin
I know what
Celebrini,
you
right?
mean. And I'm sure people are screaming at the podcast, what about Philip Hronek? But, I mean,
I like Philip, but he's not the guy.
Yeah. He's also, he's close to the end of his career. But I did hear some interesting takes and as to, like, basically, I just don't think you bet on Hronek yet.
No.
Like, there's we don't need a captain. I mean, we do. We desperately need a leader.
His name is Tyler Myers.
Sure. If you want a captain, Tyler Myers, sure. But, like, we don't know what this team looks like at all. So don't saddle your future to an aging player who actually might have some value if you end up, like, with some more stock on the right handy, if you are, like, drafting that way, Well, I just say, let's see.
Yeah. Both the NHL and PWHL get back in action. The Vancouver Canucks, they're actually getting things underway this week on Wednesday. Winnipeg Jets happen to be in town. And then they head out on the road for a game down in Seattle against the Kraken on Saturday night. Anna, are there points to be had from either Winnipeg in town or the Kraken on the road?
Yeah, it's interesting. What do we think happens to Hellebuyck? Does he remember that he's in Canada and he doesn't know how to play hockey there?
Okay,
or does he not play?
Winnipeg
or does Eric
wasn't so
Comrie play?
hot.
Yeah, I mean they haven't been. But even yeah. Yeah, I think Canucks get probably. I just don't see. I don't think so. I just don't see anything that makes me think Canucks have spent these last 2 weeks either getting better, getting energized, or like, what is there to energize them? They just. Brock Besser's probably happy that he was engaged, and then he broke Philip Heedle's face and probably now deflated once again. PD had an okay to mediocre Olympics, and Team Canada lost. So
yeah, I got him at 0. I just they weren't playing well prior to. I don't see what changes to cause this team to suddenly play well after. Sometimes a good break is what's needed. Players get to recharge their batteries, recenter themselves, but it's a lot of bad mojo around, the Vancouver Canucks at this point. And to your point, all the players returning from the Winter Olympics, they've been playing nonstop, and no one, at least on Vancouver
plus
Canucks
on
roster, lit it up.
European time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
So 0-0. We'll come back next Sunday, and maybe the Vancouver Canucks prove us wrong, but I highly doubt it. The Vancouver Goldeneyes also back in action. They play on Sunday, March 1st. They happen to take on the Toronto Scepter here in Vancouver. Any
Win.
thoughts as to
Win.
You think that's a win?
Yeah. Back on home ice against Toronto, who we just obliterated before the break. Yeah. I with a bunch of Goldeneyes who had sort of under par Olympics or disappointing on their personal terms. Yeah, I think they win. They are really good at home. Unless they're faced with the toughest opposition, which happens to be Minnesota and like Boston this year. Well, Boston and Montreal, but yeah.
Okay, I'll say win too. The reason why I was somewhat like, I'm not sure, because again, I mean, I've been pretty, confident here in the Pacific Coliseum. Toronto will be playing in Seattle 2 nights before, so they'll have been able to sort of shake off that rust, proverbially, in a game that Vancouver won't have the opportunity to do before they face Toronto. So that is why I was like, it's not that I doubt the Goldeneyes' ability to play in the Pacific Coliseum. It's that first game back is always the rough one.
Yeah, and I know what you mean. Like, I don't think this will be like, obliterating win either. But I do still have confidence that that they love playing together. They love playing at home, and they will have that time to get settled and practice in their own practice rink.
Yeah, the Agrodome.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know if I've mentioned on the show, and maybe I have. If you watch Rocky IV, you get to see good shots of the Agrodome there.
There you go.
Yeah. And as we look to wrap up this episode, what final words of wisdom do you have for listeners this week?
I kind of said that I was gonna enjoy a break from hockey misery. I kind of found some anyway. I'm never gonna be as invested in Team Canada as I am in the Canucks or the Goldeneyes or anything that's like attaches to an identity that I have, which is living in Vancouver and coming from London, or being Irish. But I was really rooting for Team Canada, and a lot of that was maybe US related as well. But yeah, I got more invested than I thought I would. So basically the pain just continues is what I'm saying.
Final words of wisdom from me. Two-parter. First part from me. Note to anyone going to watch an event in BC Place in the winter. BC Place is not a warm stadium. Don't underdress.
Yeah, good call.
I was a little chilly watching the Vancouver Whitecaps FC home opener. 1-0 win over FC Dallas.
By surprise. Completely by surprise. I literally saw Ariel Tulio's Instagram and I was like, what the hell? What's happening?
Yeah.
And then they're back.
Yeah, they are. MLS, so the current MLS season gets underway in February, runs through to like November, December.
Right.
From start to MLS Cup. Next year will be wacky. They're going to have a mini season that'll get things underway in sort of February. Then they'll have a small break, and then a full season will kick off more aligned with the traditional football calendar from late summer through to spring, which I still can't envision what winter soccer will be like in Toronto or
I mean, I think we've seen
Minnesota.
what it's like. with that
Well, we
kind of
have.
international match that happened, it was brutal.
But yeah, it's yeah. Anyhow, we'll see. But the second part of the advice, this comes from my daughter, is that curling looks fun. I want to try it. And what I take from that is always look for every opportunity to try something out. You'll never know what you'll enjoy the most. And I curling was cool. We were watching it. And so I was having to explain things, and I even pulled out my iPad. I was drawing, and what was really cool is then she was taking what I had talked to her just about, and then like drawing out different scenarios. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I want to foster. She wants to learn curling. I got to find a junior program that she can try out, and try to fan those flames. Like, and if she doesn't like it, I'm not going to force it upon her. I'm a firm believer that she should get all of the different experiences so that she can find what it is that she loves. And the more I can provide those opportunities, the better I am as a father.
Yeah, we love that.
And if she were to be in the Olympics or anything, I would be there to support. I would, you know what? I would be that blubbering dad that they'd have on like CBC. All like pumped up about his daughter.
Yeah, and then can't get his words out. Yeah, that would be you.
That would be me. I would be that guy. If you've reached this point of the show, though, and you'd like to support us and by extension my daughter's potential Olympic dreams, you can do so by going to buymeacoffee.com/C4podcast. Buy me a coffee, otherwise known as
Buy me a pint.
And if you were to go and contribute pint money, that's the one-off donation to us. Anna and I will get together at some point in time and have pints. I know we continue to say at some point in time we will get together. We do at least once or twice a year. It's just
we're better in nicer weather. I will say that.
Yeah,
we tend to see each other a lot more in the summer.
Yeah. So we'll do that, and we will take pictures and we'll prove it to all of you. If, though, you want to contribute to keep the lights on the show, that's where you can connect and support us either monthly. I think it's $5 Canadian a month, or for $50 Canadian for the entirety of the year. That ensures that our bills get paid. Those that aren't listener supported come out of Anna and my pockets. And that, we'll still continue to do that. We love to do what it is that we do, but any penny or two that you throw our way helps. Well, you can't get pennies in Canada, so every nickel or two you throw our way helps.
Exactly.
If you want to check out our back catalog, c4podcast.com is the place to go. If you want to find the podcast on social media, we're at the C4 Podcast on X, the Real C4 Podcast on Threads. We are c4podcast.com on Blue Sky. And Anna and I are pretty straightforward. She's A4-3 pretty much everywhere. I'm Light Force pretty much everywhere, including on Gander Social. I got invited to the beta. Oh, so you know what's really cool about Gander Social and being, amongst other Canadians on a social media network is that your feed has a singular topic at certain points in time based on what's happening in the sports world.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Quite apparent. Oh man, I don't think there was anyone not talking about hockey, not talking about like the hockey and curling medal games. There was nothing else.
I mean, I just got
every other time
so much from my family about curling. I mean, especially because Team GB were in the final and they're all Scottish, so my dad was very excited about that.
Canada. Yes. Although I didn't get a chance to watch the gold medal final because I had to work. But by all accounts, it was a banger.
Yeah, double banger.
Yeah. Anywho, on behalf of Anna, myself, Chris, and the robot Craig, we out.